Hey you guys, Fabio coming back with another video. Look, what I want to talk about in this video real quick, it's going to be a real quick video, is holding your clients accountable. And I'm talking about whether it's commercial or whether it's residential, really doesn't matter. You have to start holding your clients responsible, okay? In terms of payment, okay? They're holding them to the agreement, because it's not fair that they hold you to your agreement. So say for an example, you're supposed to do this. You have this check sheet that I suggest that you guys, I talk a lot about on the video. So you have this check sheet, right? And it's amended to the agreement. It tells what you're supposed to do. They sign off on it. Okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Now, let's say 5 things on the checklist you forget. They're going to beat you up about it. They're going to say, hey, well, we said that, we needed this done and you haven't done this. We don't feel like we owe you the whole dollar amount at the top of the month. We think we should deduct off of this because of the fact that you guys missed this 3 times in a row, or you missed this 5 times out of the month, right? They're going to hold you accountable for your actions in the facility, right? Based upon what you checked off, what you said that you would do, what you said you were capable of doing, and what they feel that they're paying for, okay? Same thing for us, man. You have to hold your client accountable, right? So again, that's paying on time, right? If it's something, a bigger job, or it's something that they need you to do, it's not the fact that you can't do it. If you do it one time, just let them know, hey, we could do it one time courtesy, but that wasn't written up in the agreement. You have to let it, because see what happens, something that's extended or that wasn't talked about initially would become the norm to them. Well, you guys did it last time and you didn't do it this time. Well, we did it last time because we gave you a courtesy. Okay, but if you want us to continue to do that, then we need to amend the agreement, or we need to, change some things around, right? Because you didn't say that initially when we did the walkthrough. Okay, so don't be afraid, even if it means you're gonna lose the account or whatever the case is. Now, if money is a factor and you say, you know what, it's not a big deal, I gotta change 5 trash cans or whatever the case is, and they add 2 more on, go ahead, guys. Just dump those 2 trash cans, okay? That's not a lot. Now, if they want you to clean ceiling fans and vents, and it wasn't initially rolled up that way, right? That's not what they initially said. Then you need to hold them accountable for what they said. That's why it's important to provide that checklist early on. That's why it's incredibly, great. I don't know what word I was looking for, but it's incredibly great to take great notes, right? It should be a responsibility of yours to take great notes, okay? Because again, that's going to help you outline what needs to be done at that particular facility. Sorry, I don't know why I'm kind of all over the place, but again, guys, make sure you hold your client accountable, as they will hold you accountable for what you say you will do in your contract, okay, or in your initial proposal, or whatever the case is, okay? The main thing I would suggest that you focus on in your agreement is when the payment is due. Okay, focus on when the payment is due, highlight it, have it underlined, have it in some type of box or something like that, something that stand out. That way, you can always refer back. That way they can't miss it, okay? So again, when some people will say that this might not be professional or whatever to highlight that, but you have to get paid, right? You still have bills to pay. You still have everything to pay, right? So you have to get paid. So you need to make sure that they know that this is when the payment is due. Any late fees that's due to the fact that you haven't received payment on time, you need to hold them accountable, guys. Because if you keep letting them get away, it's no sense of having late fees in your contract if you're not going to enforce it. It's like the guy that has a single family home or a multi-family unit, right? Okay, so he's a landlord. He rents this unit out, and then the people pay him consistently. He give you up to the 5th of the month. The rent is due on the 1st. He give you up to the 5th to pay. Okay, now you're consistently paying after the 5th, month after month. But he let the late fee slide this month, and he give you a warning, verbal warning or whatever. Say, hey man, typically we would charge an extra $50 because of the late fee that we charge, but we're gonna waive it this month, okay? But please make it, your point to pay the rent on time between the 1st and the 5th, because after the 5th, our company just automatically charge you a late fee. Okay. Again, you want to make sure, that's why I tell you guys paperwork is very, very important. You want to make sure your paperwork is stand-up paperwork. You want to make sure that you really hone in on that stuff. Same thing with your subcontractors agreement, okay? You really want to make sure you point out whatever is important in those agreements and those documents. You want to make sure you point it out. Specifically, this video is just talking about holding your clients responsible, okay? Holding them accountable, I should say, okay? Again, so you want to have when the payment is due. You want to have the late fee charges if you have any, okay? You want to give them an option where you can automatically bill them. So, like for an example, with my company, okay, so we offer where we can accept credit cards, right? Where we automatically bill them. So there's a form that we have, right, where we put their credit card information in and we have filed it. And then at the top of each month, we still go ahead and send out the invoice, but at the top of the month, we just go to automatically bill it. Some people prefer that. You know, we got a lot of residential clients that prefer to do it that way, right? Where we just actually have their information, you know, our reoccurring accounts, obviously. We have their information on file. After we do the job, it's automatically billed, okay? So again, that makes it better for you. That makes it better for them. You don't have to worry about them sending in a check, writing up the check, getting it out to you on time. You're still going to distribute your invoices out on time. You're going to send those out on time, okay? And then you go ahead and you charge it on the 1st, okay, if that's when it's due, okay? You guys, like I say, man, make sure you guys enforce those things, because when you don't enforce things that's in your paperwork or in your documentation, you seem to get effed over, okay? And that's not the object of the game. That's not what you don't want to be this company that's just known for getting effed over and just saying, well, you know, I'm new to this, I'm new to that. Again, because what's going to happen, one client is going to do it, client B, client C, client D, all your clients are just going to start effing you over, and then you're just going to be known for the person in the city that just get effed over. You have to have, again, guys, it's the way that you talk to them, right? It's the way that you talk to them. For an example, when I first, people know now, but when I first started and I was dealing with my employees, I told them that I was the manager. You know, I was just the head manager. You can use that a lot. Like there's the people right now that's really own property, right? But because they don't want to feel like they're telling their occupants certain things, they'll say, well, I'm just a property manager. Okay, I'm just a property manager. But look, hey, don't pay your rent late because, you know, they typically charge. Now, they don't know you necessarily as the owner of this particular property, but they insert themselves in as their property manager because it just feels a certain way trying to tell somebody, hey, look, you got to pay me on time, right? You can do the same thing. So when I used to walk into the building, I do the door-to-door and all of this stuff in the very, very beginning. Again, number one, it was surreal walking into these buildings that I didn't know these people. They all dressed up. They're all fancy looking. They all got the flyest cars in the parking area, in the parking lot. So it does seem a little bit intimidating, right? Whether you're talking to a male or you're talking to a female, right? Sometimes you have multiple people you have to talk to get the contract because they got multiple people. That's the way it's set up. You got to meet this person this day. You got to come back and meet this person and kind of go up the ladder, so to speak. It's very rare, but more bigger accounts sometimes it's like that, okay? They don't always just have one person that you have to talk to get in. Sometimes it's multiple people, okay? But like I say, guys, when they explain, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, we want this clean, we want that clean. Again, itemize it on your checklist, okay? If it's not a part of your checklist, just handwrite it in there and just make your adjustments later, okay? So again, you want to have a checklist. You want to have a checklist. You want to sign and date it, and you want them to sign and date it because, again, we want to make sure that everything is aligned here. So when you go to train your employees, you can train them based on this checklist. Okay, it just makes it easy for me. This is the way I do it, guys. I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it. You might have your way that you do it now. It just makes sense for me to do it this way. Okay, so again, just to recap what I was saying, on your paperwork, have those stipulations in there. Late fees, when the payment is due, etc., etc. Okay, what your expectations is, what they should expect from you, whatever the case is, okay? You can also accompany it just with a little form, just a one-page form with the name of the company, the contact person, contact number, emergency contact number, credit card, expiration date, 3-digit code on the back, etc., etc., right? You can just have a little form right, that you keep in your little database, or that you're going to eventually input into the computer system, right, or whatever software program that it automatically handle with the billing, right? So you can have the paper version and you key it in yourself, or you can have it where you kind of set it into some type of system within your computer system, okay? And then boom, when it's time to bill them, you go ahead and automatically charge it. Okay, so that's a separate document that you can have. Anybody can make that up, right? It's just a name, address, this and this and that, information, contact person, contact number, emergency contact number, etc. Credit card, what type of credit card it is, expiration date, the 3-digit code on the back, etc. And then you're done with that. Okay, so that part is not hard to do. Now, if they say we're just going to give you a check, cool. You just want to make sure that you highlight when this payment is due in yellow and pink or whatever the case. Make sure they know when this payment is due, and also highlight what happens if the payment is late. If you have late fees, stand behind your late fees, or do not put it in your contract, or do not have it in your paperwork if you're not going to enforce it. Anything that you know that you might be timid about, you're not going to enforce, just don't put it in your paperwork, because you're wasting time at this point, right? You're not going to enforce it. You're scared to talk to them person to person, okay? And just don't put it in there. Okay, so to me, it just makes sense like that. So if you're going to put it in your paperwork, stand by it. Okay, don't be afraid. I know we people to people, business to business, they have a job to do. They're going to do their job. They're going to hold you accountable. You have a job to do. You're going to do your job. You need to hold them accountable. Okay, and that's on all levels. I'm not telling you to be a douche about it, right? I'm not telling you just, be a real prick about it. But you need to hold them accountable, because if you don't, they'll walk all over you. And this is really, really prevalent in the residential side of things, because they nitpick about every single thing. I talk to people on my coaching all the time. They say, Fabio, don't even talk to me about it. I don't even want nothing to do with residential. I tried it. It's terrible. Man, I'll rather work at, Burger King or whatever the case is before I do a residential, man. It's terrible. You can make good money, but it's terrible. That's how that person feels. And sometimes it can be a headache, right? You're dealing with different creeds, different religions, different people, different perspectives, right? Sometimes people are just catty. Sometimes people are just nitpicky, right? But they want to hold you to this certain thing that they agreed upon, that's what they're paying for. You have to do the exact same thing. You need the payment to be there. You need the payment to be there on time, right? You can still get their credit card information, file it, and then reoccurring charge every first of the month, or whenever it's due, right? If it's due immediately after the cleaning, you go out, you can put it in your app. If you got an app on your phone for it, most of these credit card companies do have an app, and you can key it in right from your phone. If you're using an online portal, you just go online on your phone, and you just key it in right there online, right? Or however you do it. If you got the square, you just can swipe it right there. If they leave the card there, you can swipe it right there and process it right there, right? So it depends on how you want to do it. But again, you want to make sure, whether it's commercial or residential, that you're holding these people accountable. You need to make sure that you enforce when the payment is due. What happened if the payment is late? How many days you're giving them to pay before it's considered late? Have all of this in your paperwork, in your contract. So if your contract read one way now and you're not having any problems, then you pretty much got a system in place. You pretty much got it covered. But if your people is constantly paying you late, you're constantly having problems with your subcontract, again, you want to make sure that this stuff is tightened up. Get this stuff tightened up right now, first quarter, right? So by the end of the fourth quarter of this year, everything gets running a little bit smoother, okay? Also, if you don't have any problems, it's nice to kind of beef your paperwork up too, guys. If you have paperwork already, it's nice to kind of beef your contracts up, see how you can change it, how you can make it a little bit more friendly, how you can make it work a little bit better for you, right? It's nice to kind of change some things up from time to time. But I'm not saying you have to, right? If it's working, cool. But after so many years, change it up, add something different, do something a little bit different to it. Okay? As long as it's favorable to you, don't cost yourself anything, right? And that's the way that I like to do to kind of keep it fresh. Same thing with your non-compete, your non-disclosure agreements, your regular agreements, your subcontractor agreements, all of this stuff, right? You want to make sure that you have fresh paperwork, right? You want to make sure it's fresh, right? It's good to go. Like I say, if it's working for you now, I'm not saying change it. but eventually you want to kind of reread it over and see what you can adjust in there at the very least. Okay, so I know I've done a lot of talking, guys. I promise we wasn't gonna go too far, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can definitely leave it right here on the video. Myself or my people, we will answer your questions back. If you need to email me about anything that you have going on, or you want me to take a look at a deal, or you want me to help you with a bid that you got to put in, or whatever the case is, you can always email me at Hollywoodjanitorialserv@gmail.com. Hollywoodjanitorialserv@gmail.com. Otherwise, guys, I would like if you like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video, as I am trying to press these videos out and try to do a lot better than I did in 2019 as promised. Okay, that's going to do it for now. The only person that could ever stop you from starting up your own dreams and making it to the top is you. Take care.